Hello, my sweet virtual friends. Happy Monday. Welcome back to your social studies tile. I hope you guys have had a great weekend and that you are ready to learn. So today we are going to do a quick recap of what we learned last week about our elections. And then we are going to go into the characteristics of a good leader. And then we are going to start talking about voter registration. So let's start with our recap. All right, so our recap on our elections last week, we identified our two candidates. Our two candidates are Mr. Wisecrackers and Mr. Form. We came up with the different things about them last week. We discussed who they were, where they worked, what they do, what they like to do, what they're really good at, if they're friendly, if they're silly, if they're goofy. You know, we came up with all these different features about them by identifying them. We wanted to identify them because in an actual presidential election, when you are introduced candidates for the presidential election, you kind of look at who they are, what they do. You start thinking about who they are as a person. You start thinking about what they do for a living. How could they help? How could they be a good president? So we went into it last week of figuring out who Mr. Wisecracker was and who Mr. Forms was, and are they going to be a good fit for the fifth grade CEO? And so this week, we are going to start off by kind of looking at the good characteristics of a good leader. We want to start looking into this because this is kind of where you're trickling now in your thought process for the elections. So you've started with identifying your candidates and you're thinking about who they are, what they do, but all of what they do and how they are starts to connect with, okay, are they going to be a good leader for us? So we're going to start thinking about the characteristics of a good leader. So I want you guys to just kind of take a minute. In a minute, you're going to pause the video and take a minute just to think. Think about what kind of characteristics you would want in a good leader. So take a minute to pause the video and think right now. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and continue. So you guys took a minute to think about what you want to see in a good leader. Okay, you thought about it. And now I want you to keep moving along with that. So now start thinking about, okay, does Mr. Wisecrackers have those characteristics? Does Mr. Form have those characteristics? So now again, I want you to, in a second, pause the video and you're going to think, okay, does Mr. Wisecrackers fits all of those characteristics that I thought of? Does Mr. Forms fit all those characteristics that I thought of? Do they both fit or do one of them more than other? So go ahead and pause the video now and think about that. All right, let's keep going. So you have thought of the different characteristics for your fifth grade CEO candidates. You've thought about, do they match? Do they, does one outweigh the other? And I want you to keep that in mind for your assignment later today because I'm going to be asking you what characteristics you thought of. And so far, who do you think is the more likely candidate for you to pick based off of the characteristics that you have thought of so far? So keep all of that in your brain bank for me, please. And then we are going to kind of just go over voter registration. So in the election process, like I said, you were introduced your candidates. Okay, you start thinking about your candidates and if they're good leaders, what they are, what they do, who they are, who they, all that stuff. So in the election process, in order to be able to vote, you have to become a registered voter. You have to register by filling out a form. Sometimes when you become of age and you get your driver's license or you renew your license at 18, depending on when you get your license, but it's always when you turn 18. The voting age limit is 18 and up, okay? So when you renew, typically, when you turn 18, you have to renew your driver's license. So you get your driver's license at 16, but then a couple years later, you got to go renew it. You got to go get a new one, okay? And when you go to renew your license, they will ask you if you want to become a registered voter, and you will fill out a form so that you can become a registered voter. It is the easiest thing ever, I promise. With that, we are going to kind of do our own little voter registration today. I'm going to go ahead and show you the different things that I have on the voter registration for the face-to-face kiddos, and you guys will also be completing a voter registration form in an assignment today. It might not look exactly like the one that I'm about to show you, but that's okay. You're still getting as much as I can give you of the same. I told you guys already I want it to be the same as possible, as much as possible. So this voter registration form, okay, I'll put it a little closer so you can see it. Okay, so this voter registration form, it asks if you are a student. Okay, so you guys are a student, so you would put yes. You would check it off yes. You would fill out your first name, your middle name, and your last name. Okay, you would fill in your birthday and how old you are. You would fill out your gender. And then you would read the small little disclaimer below. So the disclaimer is just some writing that it's kind of like a warning, but it's also a statement, okay? It's telling you something. So the little disclaimer here, it says read, sign, and date, okay? It says, I am a resident of the United States. The information I have provided is true to the best of my knowledge. And then you would sign it with your signature, so using cursive, and you would date it. Okay, so this is a good point of where your beautiful cursive that I'm trying to help you guys with comes in handy. Okay, so your voter registration. Your voter registration, after you turn it in, it will turn into a voter registration card, okay? And with the voter registration card, the voter's card, when you get it, you will take it with you when you go to vote on election day, okay? You have to take it with you in order to be able to vote, okay? So you cannot vote if you do not have a voter's registration card. So that's why the voter registration form is really important, because you have to fill this out in order to get the card, and you got to have the card in order to vote. It's a whole process, my loves. That's why we got to spend so much time on it and take step by step, because there is so much to it. So after you guys fill out this little voter registration card for me, we will make your voter cards, okay? And then you will present it to me so that you may participate in our voting process. Okay, so with that being said, you guys, if you have any questions about anything that I have said today, or you want to talk to me about something that I have said today, please feel free to email me. I will get back to you as soon as I can. And I hope that you guys have an amazing week this week. You guys are awesome. You got this. You just keep pushing on and pushing on. You're doing amazing, you guys. I will see you in the next video. Bye.